If you know how to use ChatGPT, then you can build workflows. And today I'm going to show you how to build your fast workflow using an A10. Even if you've never automated anything before, you don't need to be technical because we are going to build it in 3 simple steps. Step 1, build the structure. Step 2, give it access to tools. And step 3, test and refine. By the end of this video, you will go from using AI to building with AI. Let's quickly explain what an AI workflow is. An AI workflow is simply a sequence of 3 parts: trigger, brain, and action. This is the entire structure, the blueprint every workflow follows. The question is, why should sustainability professionals care about workflows? We are not developers after all. Well, that's actually the point. AI now makes it very simple to build workflows. In addition, our work is full of repetitive tasks. We collect data, we validate numbers, we chase people for information, we update sheets, we document evidence for audits. None of these requires strategic thinking, but it does consume hours of our time. And here's the truth. We understand these processes better than anyone else. We are the one who created these flows in the first place. Now we have the opportunity to automate them because workflows can save you time, save your company money, and above all, they might even get your boss a promotion. Be honest, isn't that what you aspire to achieve as a dedicated employee? Jokes aside, your boss won't take credit for your work. You are the expert in these processes, and now you can build these workflows and become the person who works smarter, deliver faster, and get things done. Because simply you can. Plus, building these workflows is kind of fun, or I think it's just me, but at least try it out. So let's jump into the N8N platform, the platform I am using to build these workflows. Go to n8n.io, and once you sign up, you'll get 14 days free trial. Just to be clear, you can run N8N locally for free, but it requires some technical setup. Therefore, I would suggest you use the cloud version. I do use N8N Cloud as it is really much intuitive and best for beginners. So let's move into the first step of building a workflow. Step 1, build the structure. We already know what is the blueprint of an AI workflow. It is made of 3 parts: trigger, brain, and action. Therefore, this step is less about technical build and more about the know-how, starting with the trigger. What puts you to start this process? What pushes you to start this task? The trigger is your radar, your watcher that you set somewhere to watch for something to take place. The same thing that usually make you initiate this work. Is it a Slack message, an email, a Teams post, a file that was uploaded into a specific drive? This becomes the signal that tells the automation to start now. Next comes the AI agent, the brain of your workflow. It receives the input from the trigger, analyze it, understand it, and decide. This intelligence might be a single node like a GPT agent or a Gemini agent that think and make decision based on your instruction. Or it could be a sequence of steps that depend on how complex your workflow is. And finally, the action, the actual task you want to complete. Sending an email, adding a row into a Google Sheet, saving a file into a specific drive folder, whatever done look like for you. The technical part will come next because you won't be able to accomplish any of that without giving the workflow access to different tools. So you have to define what the work look like, or what is the sequence of your workflow, and what tool will be used at each step. And then we have to grant access to different tools. And we will do that next. Before we jump into step 2, let me show you the simple workflow we are going to build together. Let's start with a message, the trigger. Meter 1, Office Berlin, consumption is 9,000 kilowatt hour for January. That message enters the workflow and something like sending it to the next step, which is the AI brain, AI agent. The AI brain extract 3 major components: the meter ID, meter 1, Office Berlin, consumption, which is 9,000 kilowatt hour, and the month, which is January. And then this information gets added into a new row in Google Sheet. Now you might say this is very simple workflow. And You are absolutely right. This by itself is very basic. But here's the truth. If you don't understand how simple workflows actually build, you'll never be able to build powerful ones. But now let's start simple. If you understand this, you can scale it to a workflow that genuinely saves you hours, reduce errors, and completely change how your team operates. So this simple version we are building will help you understand the logic. And now let's jump into the more technical step, which is step number 2, giving your workflow access to tools. Remember in step 1, we built the structure, trigger, brain, action. That's the blueprint, but a blueprint alone can do anything. Your workflow needs actual tools. Tools it can use to collect information, analyze it, execute tasks. This is where you stop chatting with AI and start executing with AI. Every node in your workflow performs one action, and some of these actions require access to external tools like Slack, Google Sheets, Gmail, Drive, or AI model. So your job here is simple. Choose the tool your workflow needs for this specific step, or as we call node. Connect it to your workflow, give it permission to act on your behalf. For example, if the trigger listens to a Slack message, it needs access to Slack. If your action updates a Google Sheet, then it needs access to Google Sheets. It's not really complicated. So each tool connection is just a credential. It's your way to tell N8N, hey, you can use or you are allowed to use this app for this specific workflow. Our trigger is the chat. Just click the plus sign, type in chat trigger, and add it. Now, if you press chat now and type a message like hello, you'll see the node execute. Nothing meaningful actually happens, which makes sense because the trigger isn't connected to anything. On the right side, you have the output. This is the logic at every N8N node. Next, let's add the brain, the OpenAI node. So I want you to click at the plus sign again, search for OpenAI, and choose the messaging model um, one that gives this one gives us the node number 2, the brain. If this is your first time, you will need to create new credentials so N8N can access your OpenAI account. To get your API key, go to platform.openai, sign in, or create an account, basically, if you don't have an account. And you just need to understand that this isn't the normal ChatGPT. So if you have a ChatGPT Plus or ChatGPT Pro, that has nothing to do with OpenAI. OpenAI usage is pay as you go. So go to setting and to billing, then add a payment method. Then you can go to API key, create a new secret key, name it something meaningful. For me, I would name it video one, workflows, and then copy the key and paste it into N8N under API key. Hit save, and you should see connection successful. For the model, I usually choose GPT-4 or Mini because this basically gives me the balance between cost and performance. And you should keep yourself up to date if you watch this video a month or 2 months from now. That might be out of date information. We will add the prompt later for this brain step because this would be part of step 3, the test and refine. But for now, we have our brain connected to the trigger. So basically, executing the trigger, the output will be delivered to our brain. I want you to click the plus sign again, search for Google Sheets, and we choose the action add row. Then basically you need to connect your Google account if this is your first time, and this is really straightforward. You just click sign in, allow access. It's pretty simple and really straightforward. But before we set up this node, we need to build our sheet. I want you to go your Chrome window, type in create sheet, and then you'll have a new sheet. Add those three columns: meter ID based on our simple workflow. Then column 2 would be consumption, and column 3 would be month. So, and let's call this sheet meter reading. Now back to the node to N8N, and here you can see that we can select the sheet that we have created earlier or right now. Then we can choose the specific, the exact sheet inside this Google file. Then we can prepare the field later in step 3 again. So we just have built the structure in our first step. The trigger, which is a chat built in Nathan. Then we have the brain, which is OpenAI, and now we have the action, which is Google Sheet. And then in step 2, we've connected the tools. For the trigger, we have nothing to connect. For the brain, we have connected to OpenAI through API key, and then for Google Sheets, we just provided access, which is pretty simple to connect your Google account to N8N, which is great. Now we have connected our tools. So we are not going to write this prompt manually. We will actually use ChatGPT to write it for us. That's the smart way of doing it. What we are going to do is to take a screenshot from N8N of our workflow and paste it into a new ChatGPT chat. We start there by explaining in plain words what this workflow is all about. So this is a simple workflow of 3 steps or 3 nodes, starting with the chat trigger, and then we have the OpenAI node that is the brain, and then we have to append or the Google Sheet where we will add a new row for each reading. I want you to be my prompt engineer and write the prompt for the brain node. Input would be something like meter XXX, city XXX, consumption equals XXX kilowatt hours for the month. A clear description of the flow, what kind of input and what kind of output you expect. And here I want you to provide clear examples of the meter readings, the input, and the output. And this is a very important part. The output we need to be in JSON syntax. And this is very important to allow us or to facilitate the mapping to Excel sheet. You don't need to freak out. You don't need to understand JSON. It's just to add this in your description, in your prompt, that you want the node to have an output in JSON format. ChatGPT will generate the full system prompt for you. You can just copy and paste into the OpenAI node. I will leave both prompts, the one I wrote manually and the one I received for the system prompt, down in the description, so you can check it out. Now, try to execute the first 2 nodes and click Execute Node. Send another message in the chat trigger, meter 200, office New York is 1000 kilowatt hour, and you should see output on the left side of the OpenAI node that looks like JSON meter ID, meter 1, and that reads exactly what has been executed. That's exactly what we want. Now, we want to send this into Google Sheet. And to do that, and that's where we need the JSON syntax, we'd need to use ChatGPT again. And it's very important to use the same ChatGPT chat you had earlier and not a new one, because it already has the context of your. Now, I want you to screenshot this part, Google Sheet node, and make sure to also screenshot the OpenAI node after execution. So it will include on the left side the input and on the right side the output, because this is very important for the ChatGPT agent or a chat to provide you with the exact JSON phrase to be used into the next step. Paste it into ChatGPT and explain that what we would need is a JSON syntax to assign the output variables from our brain node into those three columns in our Google Sheet. And it will provide you with 3 JSON lines. You just have to copy the right line into the right cell. It is straightforward, will work, and now we have the trigger, the brain, and the action. So if we go to the Excel file that we have, the meter reading, we have the meter IDs, the consumption kilowatt, and the months for those readings that we've already collected. If I go to the workflow and open chat, say Frankfurt plant meter 3 reading is 4,000 kilowatt hour for March. Then I set execute message model, and then you can see that the reading is already in our Excel file. That's the whole idea, to automate information collection, to automate meter reading collections. Well, let's have a look into the complex workflow I'm talking about. We have a trigger, the data owner submit electricity meter reading through Slack, but this time we have a photo that will be analyzed via AI and compared to the text submitted also via AI. So the system compare photo evidence reading with the text reading, provide an input to a human through Slack to either approve or decline, and then the record will be stored. And this is how the actual workflow looks like, and we will have a look into how it actually executes. And it will deliver input into this sheet and into this drive folder of evidences that will be stored in here. But how would it actually work? So let's execute this workflow. Go here. I would say plant C meter 1 reading is 8,000 kilowatt hour for the month of July. And let's attach a photo. So and this would take place in the Slack meter submission. We submit the data. Now we can have a look. It is executing, analyzing the image, uploading it into drive folder for evidence, analyzing the text of the message, merge, combine, code JavaScript. And now it will add it into the Google Sheet. So let's see. Now we have the plant C meter A reading from text is 8,000 and from the photo is 999, which is false reading. So the fast confirmation or the fast comparison via the AI was that it's false. It does not really look the same. Therefore, now it's pending confirmation because we need a human in the loop. And if I go to the meter view, I received a message that says, for plant C meter 1, the reading from text is 8,000, the reading from photo is 9,999, values not matching, and the photo evidence is here. So we can see the reading is 9,999. However, the text reading is 8,000. Therefore, this means this needs to be declined. So got it. And now if I go to this, it's executed, and the full workflow is executed. If I go back here, it is rejected. So it's not pending confirmation, it's rejected. And we have the full evidence, the full chain of custody. And here's the best part. This advanced workflow was built using the exact same method. Build the structure, give it access to tools, test and refine. That's it. The only difference is more steps and more logic. But the principles are the same. So if AI for sustainability professionals sounds like your thing, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment to keep this going. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.